Weather conditions like this were what had given the hotel its nickname, Castle in the Clouds. "Strangely quiet, isn't it?" said Don Burkhart Jr., reminding me that now really wasn't the time to be admiring the Swiss mountain scenery. "I just hope those sweet little boys haven't already frozen to death." Don was sitting on the big sled that was used to transport firewood to the basement door, swinging his legs and licking an ice cream cone he must have sweet-talked out of someone in the kitchen. The firewood itself he'd simply tipped out into the snow beneath the "Welcome to a Castle in the Clouds" sign. The ice cream gave me an idea. "Hey, boys, how about a nice ice cream?" I called. But I was met with absolute silence. Don giggled gleefully. "You shouldn't have let that handyman distract you from your duties, Sophie Spark." "You'd better pick that wood up if you don't want to get in trouble," I said. Although Don was small and skinny and looked sweet and perfectly harmless with his little snub nose and soulful brown eyes, I was secretly afraid of him. He was always coming up with things you'd never expect to hear from a 9-year-old, and it was doubly disconcerting because of his high-pitched little voice, cute Swiss accent, and equally cute lisp. His odd habit of calling people by both their first and last names, sometimes accompanied by descriptions and age. "You've got a hole in your tights, Sophie Spark, 17-year-old high school dropout," had something weirdly menacing about it. Like in a mafia film when someone murmurs, "I know where you live," and later deposits a horse's head in your bed, if you're lucky. Don and his parents were regular guests at the hotel, and Don knew the place like the back of his hand. He'd spend all day roaming around the building, eavesdropping on people's conversations and stirring up trouble, behaving as though the hotel and everyone in it belonged to him. He seemed to know everything about everyone, guests and staff alike. It was creepy the way he managed to remember everything, right down to the tiniest detail. Freight elevators, offices, the basement. Don's favorite places to loiter were the ones guests weren't supposed to have access to. But because he was so small and sweet, he rarely got in trouble for it. Whenever he came across someone he couldn't charm with his innocent doe eyes, he put the fear of God into them by reeling off their full name and mentioning, as if in passing, his fabulously rich father, Don Burkhart Sr., and his father's friendship with one of the Montfort brothers who owned the hotel. That was what he did with me, anyway. And even if I tried not to show it, his mafia-style methods were pretty effective. Just 2 days ago, I'd caught him wiping his chocolatey hands quite coolly and deliberately on the embroidered velvet drapes in the little vestibule on the second floor. He met my outrage with a superior smile. "Oh, high school dropout Sophie Spark clearly has a penchant for hideous curtains." That made me even more outraged. All the curtains and cushions on the second floor were made from the same fabric, a beautiful crimson material embroidered with birds and floral patterns in soft gold thread. You didn't have to be an expert to realize how valuable they were, even if the red had faded slightly over the years. When you ran your fingers gently over the velvet, it felt almost as if it was stroking you back. "Anyway, isn't it your job to keep things clean around here? Temporary chambermaid Sophie Spark with the funny freckles?" Don had asked. 2 days ago, I hadn't yet started my babysitting duties. I'd still been assigned to the housekeeping team. "How much money do you think my dad spends in this hotel every year? And who do you think they'd kick out first, you or me? If I were you, I'd be glad it's only chocolate and try to get these stains out quickly before Fräulein Müller reads you the riot act again." Where on earth did he come up with these expressions? Not even my grandma talked like that. "And if I were you, I'd get out of here quickly before I whack you with this duster," I'd replied. But Don had sauntered away with a grin on his face, knowing full well that he'd won. I was more afraid of Fräulein Müller, the head housekeeper, than I was of him. And as I scrubbed the chocolate stain out of the velvet curtain, I did actually feel a certain relief that it was only chocolate and nothing worse. "If anyone's going to get in trouble around here, it's you," Don remarked now, licking his ice cream. "You were flirting with Jaromir Novak, 38 moustache wearer, instead of looking after the children. I saw you." "I wasn't flirting," I corrected him at once. "I was just quickly helping."